So hopefully you've experimented and created some different kinds of cuts, different kinds of folds to create this play between the three-dimensional and two-dimensional forms, experimented with your papers, and come up with some ideas that you're pleased with, that are working well for you. Because now we're going to go to a larger piece of paper and we're going to do a triple fold. So if you take your paper horizontally, I think in lower school we used to call that the hot dog fold. If you press down, and once again make sure you have a really tight crease on your fold. Then here's the fold. Open up the top, okay? And you're going to line it up with the crease. I like to hold it and then press the middle and then out, and then crease it down, of course. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the whole thing over. So this is just a single piece again. Here's the crease at the bottom. I'm going to take this piece and fold that down to the crease. I'm going to hand crease it first and then give it a good pressure to hold it down. So when it unfolds, it looks like a letter M, or if you prefer, a W. All right. Now once you have that, refer back to some of your other cuts that you're experimenting with, and where you're going to be cutting again is along the fold. So this is an area where you can cut. This is an area where you can cut and make repetitive cuts to create some interesting patterns that go up the folds. You might consider again the principles of design. I want you to try to have an area of a focal point, something where there's a change, something to draw your attention there. And even you could come up with a pattern. This piece is your experimental piece. This won't be your final piece, but it's a good time to practice organizing your cuts into a pleasing design. So to do that, again, you're going to work from the fold, any one of the folded edges. Here's one of my folded edges. Kind of like those triangular pieces. I will warn you about something, and that is not to make your cuts too tiny, because it really weakens the paper. They won't hold up as well. Move your scissors, I would say at least 1/4 of an inch or so. That really helps to not try to get it too thin. Even though I admire the courageousness of that, it makes it really, it weakens the paper almost to the point where you can't really work with it as well. So now I'm reversing mine. I want to create a little focal area here. Just trying to plan out. Again, I may not keep this design. This is, again, just experimenting with the materials, experimenting with the different techniques. Do be careful not to cut all the way through your paper on each side so that the edge stays together. All right, so now I would reverse my folds. I wonder what would happen if I just reversed it like this. I haven't tried that before, so let's try it. I'm not liking it. It's not working for me. So I'm going to go back to the old method of folding the edge, creasing, reverse the fold, so that this triangle becomes the valley. This one's going to remain the mountain. Push this one back. So I'm beginning to get an interesting design or pattern with the triangles on each side. And just as in all sculpture, both sides of the piece are going to be important, that they work well together and be of interest. Because remember, sculpture is viewed from all viewpoints. So occasionally you may want to turn your piece over and make sure what we call the back is equally interesting. Now, if I run into a problem, I can't really push this one back because of that. So I'm going to make one more cut. I'm going to try a skinny one here, see what happens. So now I can push that one back. Again, make sure you crease those edges. Okay, that's sort of interesting. It's working well on both sides. And now here I could go a different route to create a center of interest, something different. Draws attention to that area. Push it back and crease. I might even make one more cut that comes back. So once I have this side done, I can do this side. If you don't cut all the way to the center fold, you can actually make some cuts in the center fold. So basically, again, do some experimenting, keeping the principles of design in mind, and work this sculpture front and back. And I'm anxious to see what y'all can come up with. You can also start your cuts in the middle fold. Just be careful to move the outer flaps out of the way so that when you cut, you don't cut those. You're just cutting on that center fold. As you're working, make sure to take some photographs of your work in progress, document what you've done so that you can add that to your digital portfolio. Once you've done several experiments and you have a plan in mind, keeping the principles of design as your guide to how you're going to organize your cuts, you'll need a clean piece of paper, your cardstock, your heavier paper, and we'll incorporate your ideas into your final design. So just like in your experimental piece, fold your paper in half. Don't forget to crease it down. And then fold the top down to form that letter M or W. Try to keep your paper nice and clean and neat. This will help your craftsmanship, how neat your work is. And then just begin to execute your plan. Remember, keep it on the fold. Keep your cuts on the fold. Remember to fold and crease each one of your pieces. And be sure to keep in mind the principles of design to help guide your arrangement. Once your sculpture is complete, make sure your name is on it and photograph it for your digital portfolio.